and then give why give your money
Hold
to
on, if you're
them?
gonna curse, I gotta hit record because that'll make it to the bloopers,
We should post this. This is fun.
I'm saying, why not give your money to?
And I hate to tell all these jackasses who went to Europe, there's more Gera Rebbes buried in Eretz Yisrael than there are in Poland. Okay, they didn't even make it with the Gera Rebbes. There's more in Eretz Yisrael than in Poland.
Yeah.
Parrots, you can put this on the third group on the WhatsApp communities. Don't worry.
Yeah. Whatever. It's what I don't understand. I just don't understand. Whatever. Ain't nothing we could do. I guess all we could do is learn, right? Anyways, on that note, so we said, oh yeah, it's taka, interesting. We're in the sugya of that. If somebody does something, he could be potem medina adam and chayim medina shemayim. Right? Meaning, just because you think you're doing something right doesn't mean, or you're doing a loophole, doesn't mean shemayim ain't going to take care of you. Right? Okay, so on the bottom of Nun Hayam Beis, so we said that there's 4 things. Now the Gemara is analyzing the 4. So Amar Mar, Hapayr together, second line up in the bottom, Nun Hayam Beis. So Amar Hapayr together, B'nei Behemoth Chavera. Somebody breaks down a fence in front of the behemoth of his friend. Hey Chidam. So again, the case is talking about where the guy breaks down his friend's fence, all his animals escape. It's grama. Right? Rashi says all these cases are grama. It's a beautiful way to get at your friend. Right? You want to take revenge on somebody, you're not chayiv, right? And he lost all his animals because you opened the thing in the fence, right? So the Gemara is saying that you're potter from Dinei Adam and chayiv and Dinei Shemayim. So what's the case? Because if we're talking about where there was a strong wall there and you knocked down the guy's strong wall, but Dinei Adam, he should be chayiv Dinei Adam, for at least for the fence, right? Now, the obvious question on this is, aren't we talking about the loss of the animals, not the loss of the fence? The Gemara seems, right, we're talking about you made the guy lose all his animals by breaking down his fence so that all the animals escaped. Wonderful. Right? But I'm saying you got away with it. But now the Gemara is asking, well, what about the fence? Well, we're not talking about the fence. We're talking about the animals. So that's Toisus. Right? Toisus asked this question. What the Toisus says, when the Gemara is teretz, it fixes it. But either way, so the Gemara is saying he should be, if it's a solid fence and you break it, so you should be chayiv for that. Ella on Tamar Aleph now, because of ru'ua. No, it's talking about where it was a bad fence. Right? So meaning you're not going to have to pay for the fence. So therefore you're not paying for the fence, and you're not going to be paying for the animals either because you're a groma. Fine. So that was case number 1. Case number 2, you bent over the stalks of your friend in front of a fire. Like there's a fire moving through the town, and it looks like it'll avoid the grain, and you go and bend over the guy's grain, and then the fire grabs onto it. So what's the case there? So then if we get there with the ruach mitzuya, so b'dinei adam nami chayev, he should be chayev b'dinei adam, right? Meaning it was a regular moving fire. He moved it there, so it's as if he took the grain and he moved it to the fire, which Tosfos says is that taking fire and burning something is the same thing. I'm sorry, taking something to a fire is the same thing as taking a fire and burning it. Right? So Mamela, you should be chayiv. Ella, the magic rule sheina mitzuya. No, got there with the rule sheina mitzuya. So Mamela, it's not. Nobody would have thought that the fire would have gotten there. Right? Meaning he bent over the guy's stalks, but he didn't think the fire would ever get there, because in the regular ruach mitzuya it wouldn't get there. But then came along a huge wind and blew it, so therefore it ruined his grain. Lamaisa, he's potter, but minidei shemayim is going to be chayav. That's one teretz. What he's talking about, where he hid it under like he took the guy's stalks or whatever, his grain, and he hid it. Now we know that Taman Be'esh is potter. Anything that's hidden is potter. So he hid it onto something, Mishum Deshavia Taman Be'esh, and now it became Taman Be'esh. So therefore, he is potter because it was hidden. Right? But Lamais is going to be Chayav in Dinei Shemayim. But those are the first two cases. Third case.
Is this psak of Pat V'dinei Adam Chai B'dinei Shemayim? Is this a psak Bezdin or a psak of the Gemara? In other words, when Bezdin paskins on this, do they say we're saying Pater, but you really Chai B'dinei Shemayim?
What?
How is a person supposed to find out about this? Is this part of a psak Bezdin Chai B'dinei Shemayim? When Bezdin, you go
Dreams about it 3 times, then he knows.
You what? No, I'm saying on every specific
Nothing.
case, there's a lot of cases which will be Chai B'dinei Shemayim. There's cases that won't be Chai B'dinei Shemayim. How is a person supposed to know that he's Chai B'dinei Shemayim unless it's part of a psak Bezdin?
I think there's a shach on it. I meant to look it up about exactly what in the thing in Simon Chof Ches. I don't know where does it bring it here. I don't know. It doesn't bring it here. About what exactly is it an automatic this Dinei Shemayim, or does it work with other factors? Right. But anyways, yeah. So let's see. So Amar Mar, third case. If you rented out false witnesses, if it's on where you hired them to for yourself, you have to pay. And meaning, let's say these guys, you hired up these witnesses to say that this guy stole from you, and now you take money from him. Then they ended up being liars. So I mean, you have to pay the guy back. And you're also chayiv dinei adam. Right? Meaning, even though it's a grama, because at the end of the day, you stole money from somebody. Ella, so it must be l'chabre. You rented the witnesses for your friend. Yeah, fine. So that's case number 3. Case number 4. If you know testimony for your friend, and you decide not to testify. But my asking is, so what's the case? Ilem of a betray, pshita. If it's 2 eidim, that's pasha daraisihi. If you know testimony and you don't testify, you're over on an issa. Ella bechad. So what's it talking about? It's talking about with an eid echad. So an eid echad is not mechuyev to come forward because you can't do much with an eid echad anyways. So memelo, you can be chayav a shvua. You can be mechayav a shvua, which we'll get to. But it's talking about with an eid echad. An eid echad refuses to give eidus. Okay, so then the Gemara asks the suleka, and are there no other cases of where you're potter from dinei adam mechayav dinei shemayim v'ika siman ha'isa basam b'shliach chavera and nishpa.
Why doesn't if he's Chayiv makes the guy make a shvu? Why isn't he Chayiv to go there? Everybody says he's not Chayiv. Why isn't he Chayiv? He has an effect.
Why I'm saying what? To be mechayev a shvua?
Yeah.
Well, because maybe the guy is not gonna.
Isn't that part of the religion?
Yeah, but we try to keep people away from shvuas. Well, we have to see in the.
If the guy's chayiv, so what do you mean keep him away? Then let him. Then he won't make a shvua, and they'll pay the guy the money that he really owes him. What month of show?
I hear what you're saying. Well, let's wait till we get to the end of the Gemara. So then the Gemara says, "V'su leka." There aren't any other cases of potter medina adam chayim medina shemayim. There are a bunch. Somebody does malacha with the water from the chatos or from the paros chatos. Right. So, excuse me. So we're not talking about where you mamish do malach and you damage it, right? Malach is done with these things and then it becomes asa. So we're not talking about doing damage with it. Excuse me. We are talking about where you used it like as a counterweight. So even though you did malacha with it, but you didn't actually do any physical, you didn't physically take it. So therefore, you're not really responsible for it, right? So you did it. Malacha, you're part of the because lemaisa you didn't do anything physically wrong to them, but you maisa you ruined them. That's one case. But this case we
what would be the case where you did malach with the actual chatas? Well, indirect malacha. You can't do actual malacha because that would be chai midiraisa, correct?
Good, but you still be then. But if you did the malacha physically, you used the water. Then you would.
No, I know that. I was saying, what would be the tier? You said when it came to the mechatas, it was your shaklan connecting. You weighed against it.
Right.
What would be an indirect? What would be indirect maisa that you did to the actual paras chatas?
I don't know. What would be a case of paras chatas indirect? Why not just riding on it or putting something on it?
That's direct, no?
No, you're not doing. No, it's not shot direct. It's shot that you didn't do anything. You didn't do any physical damage.
That's not physical.
You have the chatas in series kicks in the package of Yaakov says you can kick into your house. So you kick the chatas kicks in the newspaper to your house or the Amazon box.
Right. That would be a new use of
but
that.
is that what you mean, or there's no physical other than the kedusha aspect? There's no physical monetary loss to either the mechatus or the animal. You did avoid with it. There's no actual loss. There's a loss because of kedusha. You can't use it for paraduma anymore.
Right, right. But that's the point. You're not physically doing any damage. You're doing a spiritual damage, which is going to make the guy grew his paras chatas, right, and his mechatas, and he's ready to make a killing on it, right? And then all of a sudden you come and use it to kick in his newspaper using the Aaron's muscle. Now you just made the guy lose his whole deal, right?
Yaakov, is it because you did a certain type of malacha, or it's because it's loishmei hazik? It's not nicker. There's two different things going on here.
No, right. The reason why it becomes possible is because you did something with it. The reason why you're not chayiv b'dei adam is because you didn't do anything with it. Meaning they go hand in hand. I think.
No, let's say you hold shmei hazik. Let's say you hold hazik sheni nicker shmei hazik. Would you still be chayiv?
Rashi's
saying no. Rashi's saying because you're shaklan connector.
Because it's a grama.
So then, why bring in? What do you mean? There's nothing to do with shmei hazik or not shmei hazik. According to my never hazik sheni nicker shmei hazik, would you be chayiv here? Midini adam.
What?
The tier is does it if you hold hazik sheni nicker shmei hazik, would you be chayiv here?
I'm not sure.
The case Rashi brings down is the case of that you didn't do the actual. It's a grama. The actual mice you're doing is a grama mice. All these cases are grama mices. No, it's nothing to do with what you actually tudife in the thing that it's whether it's shmei hazik or not. The mice you did is a grama. I thought that's all these gemaras are trying to do. That you're doing grama dika maisim, and therefore it's only chayav b'din shemayim. That's why I asked, what did you do to the cow? Did you do a maisa? Did you do a grama dika maisa to the cow that you're putter on? Let's say I would put a saddle on the cow. Would that be a grama?
No, that would not be.
If you hold hazik sheni nicker shmei hazik, would that be a grama if I put a saddle on a cow and I rode it?
Well, l'chayra, because the damage doesn't happen till later when the guy wants to sell his cow for the mechatas for the. Then they say, "Hey, buddy, you can't. It's possible."
Even if you hold hazik sheni nicker shmei hazik and the hazik happened right away when you made it, that it's usher.
What?
Yeah, I would go with that. Akiva, if the damage is not a physical damage to the cow, it's a damage in the kedusha of the cow.
I understand, but if you hold hazik sheni nicker shmei hazik, it's still considered a hazik.
No, it's not. You didn't damage the animal. There's no damage to the animal here.
That's not how Rashi understands it, but okay.
You're asking not like Rashi. Rashi's saying it's all in.
I understand Rashi's tying the two together, but if you hold, you're saying it's separate things. I don't know.
Yeah, it's clear it's separate thing. I mean, the Gillian asks the opposite direction. He's clearly understanding Rashi to mean that Hezek Shein and Nikir is the reason.
Yeah. I thought we had this machlokes. Where do we have this sugya? I couldn't remember.
Gittin.
Was it Gittin?
Yeah. The Gillian Ashas brings it.
I saw in Yerushalmi getting.
Yeah. But anyways, okay. So, but the main point is that it's not a physical damage. It's a memela. He's potter from that, but he's going to be chayav and din shemayim. Okay. So in the next case, where you can nice and sam hamavis, in front of behemoth chavera, potter medina adam chayav din shemayim. He's potter medina adam chayav din shemayim. Right, so there also, because the animal went and ate it, he didn't feed it to the animal. But when you send a fire in the hands of a cheres shaitan cotton, that right, because
That's poisoning somebody. I mean, putting it in his food is a grumma.
He didn't put it in his food. You put it in front of him.
Put it in front of him, so you put it in his drink. No, I mean all the people Putin has killed over the years. That's all a grumma.
A grata, yeah. He's not so dumb after all, right? Yeah, he did it voluntarily. Yeah, and the same thing. Fine, and then if you scare your friend, and then he gets whatever happened to him. So potem medina adam chayav medina shemayim is potem medina adam chayav medina shemayim. And then one more, but he could nishbar kadam was just around. The guy breaks his jug, it's just around v'loy sulk, and he doesn't pick it up. Nafla gamle v'loy mida, or his camel fell, and he doesn't pick it up. Rameir mechayev b'hezekon. Rameir says the chayav and the damage, right? Because he holds whether a guy trips is considered a pesheya. The chachamim poter, the chachamim say poter b'dinei adam chayav b'dinei shemayim. So you see that there's many scenarios in addition to these four. So why is the Gemara only specifying four? So the Gemara says in Mia Ikatuva, there's plenty. But these four you need to say. Ma'od the same because you would think you're also not Chaim Medina Shemayim, Kamashal that you are. What are they? If you break down the fence in front of the behem of your friend, Ma'od the same you might think even though Mr. Rekai. Since the fence is going to be broken down anyways, like we said before, we was talking about a bad fence. Ma Ovid, what do you do wrong? But Dinishmaim Nami Leil Chayav. The Dinishmaim is also not Chayav. Kamash Malon, that he is Chayav. That's case number one. Case number two, Akaif Kamatz Shechaveri Nami, bending over the grain of your friend. Ma the same Lema Mi Hava Yadina Dasi Ruach Shana Matsuya. Did I know that an uncommon wind is going to come blow through? He's also shouldn't be chayav. Kamash Malon, that he is chayav. Well, the Ravashi Domar Nami Taman Itmar and Ravashi who said that talking about when he hid the guy's grain, so therefore he's potter because of Taman Beish. Mao the same. Anok Kisu Kisis I covered it over, right? So because I wanted it to maybe stop the fire. Ubedin Shemayim Nami Leilachayim, and he should also be Nachayav Din Shemayim. Kamash Malon. That he is chayav. Asoicher ede sheker nami mal the same alema divrei Rav divrei Talmud divrei Shimon. Why are these eight? Why should I be responsible? I go try and hire two guys to say false testimony for my friend. Why should I be liable? You're supposed to listen to me. You're supposed to listen to Hashem. Why are you listening to me for? I should be chayav. In the last case, why is
that taka true? Why do we say that the Eidim are chayav? They're the ones who did it.
What?
Why is he chayiv for hiring them? The Rav the Red Talmud should tell me that the Eidim should.
He's not chayiv, but he's chayiv in Shemayim.
No, but even b'dinei Shemayim, the Eidim should be chayiv b'dinei Adam.
Nobody said they're not. We're talking about this fellow, not the angel.
Then he got his money. He didn't cause anyone a loss.
He did something bad, l'gabe Shemayim. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Oh, when they didn't get caught. So the guy's still missing out. Sorry, yeah.
Okay. So Vayidei Edus Chaver Veina Meid Loi Nami. Mao, did that work? Yeah. I'm sorry. Mao the same. Me Yemer the Chehava Sina Masada Lehabi Maida.
That's when Rashi Yaakov says he doesn't get tzaddik in a year wood. That means he's chayiv b'dinei Shemayim. That's another way. That's a nicer way of saying it.
Right? Maybe it's less. I don't know. I don't know where it falls exactly, but yeah. So anyway, he says, who says, meaning why did I have to come say the my edus? This is Rabbi maybe answering your question before. Who says that had I come to say edus, he would be maida? Right? Dilma have mishtabel maybe he would have lied. And meaning, and my testimony would have been meaningless. I mean, what is an edach do? It forces a shvua. So maybe I wouldn't. My shvua wouldn't have. He would have lied, right? That he is. That no, he's still. We have to assume that the guy's not going to lie for his shvua. Okay, fine. So that's why we have those specific cases. Fine. Difference of a lila shepatu a list, and we said so. If the fence gets broken in the middle of the night, or list him come and pay, then he's potter because he did everything that he could do. So Amar Rabba. It's only if he dug, meaning the animal, the way the animal escaped from the corral is if it dug under the gate. Because how's a guy supposed to protect against that? But if he didn't dig, then what would be the din? Chayiv, so he would be chayiv. So hechidan, what's against you? Because if it's a solid wall, kiloi chatra my chayiv. If it didn't dig, then why would you be chayiv? It was a solid wall. What should he have done? Right? Some freak thing happened that the wall broke down. That has nothing to do with him. Ella, because the rule must be a bad wall. So then kichasra my patus. And then if it's a bad wall, even if the animal dug under there, why should it be patur? So it's tchila pshia and a saiva ba'inus, right? Beginning he was a pasheh because he didn't put up a good fence. And Saifa Bindus is that he dug under.
But it wasn't going to fall. It wasn't going to fall until he dug under.
Who says
it wasn't
that?
going to fall on its own. Somebody had to do something to make it fall.
It didn't fall at all. He dug under, and the wall's still up. That's why it's safe for bonus.
No, well, yeah, I'm saying it's what. Who says that it has to be the two have to do with each other? No, I don't understand what you're saying, though.
Yeah. So then, never mind.
No, I'm saying you're thinking that the reason why the fence broke is because it dug under and weakened. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Well, I didn't learn it like that. I just learned that he made a bad fence. So he's tchilasa b'pshia, right? And Saifa Ba'inus is that they ended up digging under. So Tchilas B'Shir, Saifa Ba'inus is a problem. Right? Yeah. So fine. So Anich Lamandam Tchilas B'Shir, Saifa Ba'inus Potter. Elamandam Tchilas B'Shir, Saifa Ba'inus Chayev. Michael and Maymar, he should still be Chayev. Elamas Nisim because now we changed Pshat. Masizim because it's talking about a solid wall. But filu loy chatra, and he's chayiv even if the animal didn't dig under. So what did Rabba mean? When did he say it? I safe it. He's going on the safer. If he left the sheep in the sun, or he handed over to a cheres shoyt v'katan, v'yotzes of a zig and goes down and damages chayiv. He's chayiv. Even if the sheep dug under the fence, it's not a question. Where it didn't dig under the wall, then Avadi is chayiv, the kula b'pshiu. The whole thing was a pshia. Because you put the sheep in the sun are going to try and escape and get out of that situation. Even if it dug, you would have thought that it's tchila b'pshia by leaving it in the sun, and the saiva b'aynis that it dug under. Kamash malon, the kula pshia. The whole thing is a pshia. Why? My timer. Because the person who owned the sheep can say to the guy who's watching it, you know that since you left the sheep in the sun, whatever it's going to do, whatever shtick, tatzika is like a shtick, whatever shtick it's going to do, it's going to go and use it to, it's going to do it to go out. So you, even though maybe it dug under the fence, which is an abnormal thing, but you caused it to do that because it was so desperate to get out of there. Right? Fine. Okay, so that's what he meant, that even digging it. Okay, let's see a listim chayamim, but if the listim take the animals out, then the listim are chayam on top of the base. Now what that means is that if the listim break into the fence and take the sheep physically and pull it out, then they're chayim. Why? Because they were kainit. Since they were kainit, now they're responsible for it. So when it says pshita, pasha kiva dafkua kaim labarishasai l'chol mili. Since they took it out, it's in their rishus for everything, and they're responsible. Talking about where they didn't pull it out. Basically, they, when kids want to go by you in the hallway, you make it like they can't go, but you force them into one. Like you don't let them pass you, or you push them so that they go out. Sort of like what they do by chuppahs in the, in the Williamsburg, where everything's in one room. They sort of just like push, right? They're not. That's right. So that's exactly. Excuse me. That's exactly what they did here. So they weren't actually kind of them. So the chiddush of the Mishnah is, even though the listim weren't kind of, they pushed it out. If somebody put the behemoth of his friend on top of the grain of his friend, then he's chayiv. You put it on top of the grain, of course he's chayiv. He put the animals, he ruined the grain. No, he didn't actually put it on the grain. He sort of forced it. He stood in their face. I'm really sorry. The kamle ba'apa, where he stood in front of it and he forced them on top of the grain. So mamela, it wasn't a direct pushing, and even so, you still chayiv.
So you're only chayiv for this specific instance. If the animal goes weiter and eats more, then you're not chayiv for that. I'm assuming because you have no kinyan gzela, correct? Or you have no shmir on it.
I would think that you're correct. And what about groma? I didn't want to go down this road, but why is this still not groma? You stood in front of the animal. You forced it to go in one direction. Isn't that groma?
Who said it's not groma?
So why are you chayiv?
You're saying, how's it any different than Ma'am B'Behem and Chavira? The Gemara considers Ma'am B'Behem and Chavira actual mazik.
And I don't understand either one of them, but that's no chiddush, right?
It's not garmi at that point, where by putting it on top that it's mamish. Basically, what's the animal going to do otherwise?
If I understood garmi, I would be able to even understand. If I understood
more direct, it's much more direct than the stam letting the animal out.
To me, garmi and groma is a Chassidish accent and a Litvish accent. That's about my right. Saying I don't know. You're right. Maybe it's more garmi than groma. Ich weiß nicht. I don't know. Anyways, Amar Rav Yosef the Kisha Amrit Lan. Now you said to us that it's somewhere where he actually hit the animal and got it to move. He didn't pull the animal, so he wasn't koined. He hit it. So we're saying that hitting it is considered a kinyan. So the listim nami did kishua. So listim also could be that he hit it. Right, so it's according to the second Torah, somewhere where he hid it, he didn't necessarily put it in a different direction. Fine. Masal Raya, Nichnas Raya. So if you hand it over to the Raya, so the Raya goes under, meaning a guy is supposed to watch your animals for you. Fine. Then he goes and hands it over to a shepherd. So now the shepherd, all the responsibilities that this shomer had to the owner, the shepherd now has to the shomer. Shulmar says, "I'm bitacht of the man." He steps under, meaning he steps into the shoes of who? Ilem of the Baal Behema. If it means that he goes into the shoes of the Baal Behema, that we already learned. If a guy hands over his animals to any one of the four shomer, they all go onto the bailim, and if the animal's damaged, they're going to be responsible, etc., etc. So it can't be that, because we already learned it. Of the shomer. It's talking about under the shomer, meaning the shomer, whatever responsibilities the shomer has, now this new shomer is going to have responsibilities. Right? So Gemara says, "V'shomer Kamma after legamri," and then the first shomer is done. Excuse me. He has no responsibility at all. Lema tiyavet yufta the Ravas, and if that's the case, it's a kasha on Rava. Dama Rava shomer shemasul shomer chayev. Right? If you one shomer hands over the responsibility to another shomer, he's chayev. The original shomer is chayev. So this Gemara, by saying that the new shomer replaces the old shomer, should be potter. So Amalek Rava, my muscle Raya. What it means to hand it over to the Raya means lebarzile. It's to his assistant. The archi the Raya leminsa lebarzile. It's the regular way of a Raya to give it to his assistant. Right? Meaning, the reason why Shomer Shemasel Shomer Chayev according to Rava is because the owner can say, "Hey, I hired you as a shomer. I deal with you. You went and handed over to another shomer. Now nothing to do with me. You can go fight with him. I'm fighting with you." But here we're saying, no, since he gave it over to his assistant, so that's a normal thing to do. Right? How many times you go to a doctor's office, you make an appointment with a doctor, and the PA sees you. Right? You're going to tie that? That's the normal thing to do. A PA sees you. Right? I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but that's the mitzvah. It's the same thing. You hand it over to a shepherd, he's going to have an assistant. Right? Fine. Then some say the opposite. If it says you hand it over to the roya, and it doesn't say you hand it over to somebody else, meaning why does it say roya? Why don't you just say if you hand it off to somebody else? So it must be, it says roya, my masr l'roya, masr roya lebarzile. It must be that he handed it over to his assistant. The arche the roya leminsa lebarzile, because it's the way of a roya to hand it over to his assistant. But if he handed it over to somebody else, then we would not have that din, and the first shomer would be chayiv according to Rava, who says shomer l'masal l'shomer, shomer shemasal l'shomer is chayiv. Later say yei Rava, and the Mamela is a proof to Rava. Nama Rava shomer shemasal l'shomer chayiv. So where it says Amri light, no, that's not true. Dilma archu demilsa katani. It's just saying it.
Yeah, but I'm saying, so what are we saying here? That the shepherd is chayev, or the apprentice is chayev?
We're saying when you hand it to an apprentice, it's expected. So therefore, the apprentice, it will be chayiv, right? But if it wouldn't be an apprentice, then, and according to Rabbah, then shomer shemasal shomer is chayiv. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it's saying. So Amri loy dilma archud demilsa katani. Maybe it's just the reason why it said raya is because that's the normal thing to do. You hand over animals to a shepherd to watch for you. But the same thing would be to if he handed over to somebody else, and it would be not like Rava. Meaning it would be like not like Rava. Be shomer shemasal shomer. Sorry. I'm sorry. I should mute for this. Okay, it's chayiv. Right? Okay. So that's the end of that sugi. Now, for whatever reason, since the Gemara discussed shomer, but now the Gemara gets into a block of Gemara about shomer. It's not. There's not a real clear shot why the Gemara does this, because this Gemara really belongs above Metzia, where all the sugis of Shomrim are, right? But let's just go a quick hakdama. There's four types of Shomrim, like we just listed. There's Shomer Chinam, who works for free. He's the least responsible because he's working for free. He's the least responsible. The only thing he's kaya for is negligence. Everything else he's potter. Shoyo is chayim for everything because he's a freeloader. He borrowed for nothing, so he's chayim on everything except for einstein, right? And a renter and a paid watchman is somewhere in the middle because they're getting paid, right? So they're chayim and gneva aveda and they're potter from einstein. So the question is, the Gemara is going to have now is, when you're mechuyev, when you see a lost object, you're mechuyev to pick it up. You're over this deraisa if you don't pick it up, and you're responsible to maintain it. So when you're maintaining it, and then something happens to it, depending on whether you're going to be a shomer chinam or a shomer sacher, that's going to be depending on your responsibility. If you're a shomer chinam, then you're not really responsible for anything. If you're a shomer sacher, then if it gets stolen or lost, you're going to be responsible. So that's a machlokes between Rab and Rabbi Yosef. And the Gemara is going to have 7 kashas that's going to take it over the next block. 7 kashas back and forth, one against each other. But so first, let's see the case. So Itmar, Shomer Aveda. If you're watching somebody do Aveda, meaning you found something in the street, you bring it home, and now you're watching it. Rabba Amar Kishomer Chinam Dami. It's like a Shomer Chinam. It's like a shomer sacher. What's a pshat? Rabba Shomer Chinam Dami. My hano kamati like. What kind of hano are you getting from it? You're a shomer chinam. What's in it for you? You watching this guy's thing that he lost? There's nothing in it for you. It's like a shomer sacher. Why? Where's he getting paid? With this hana, that you don't have to go bring bread to aniyim, have a kashem sacher, you like a shem sacher. Big huge toistus on this, right? Meaning, guy knocks on the door to give tzedakah. You say, "Sorry, I'm watching somebody's lost object. I'm already doing a mitzvah. I'm a mitzvah, patam in a mitzvah." There's a benefit to that, right? You don't have to go give tzedakah. You don't have to go to the door and give tzedakah. Sort of like the same thing. Are you mechuyev to stop your davening to give tzedakah to the people coming around collecting? So you're not mechuyev to, and they're even wrong for coming around because you're being Isaac and Dominic, right? But Tosfos points out that's only if you can't be Makayim both mitzvahs. But if you could be Makayim both, then it's okay, right? Meaning, a guy drops his cell phone, so you're not going to say that, I'm going to put the cell phone on my shelf. Now I'm not going to answer the door to give tzedakah because I'm watching his cell phone. You're not watching his cell phone, right? It's in a safe place. You can do both, right?
So then, what schar is there? So then, if you could do both by watching? What schar is there? So
Shomer doesn't have to watch it every single second in order for it to be safe.
Right.
So what's Rav Yosef talking about? Only an animal that you need to feed it. So a regular inanimate object, he agrees with.
Yes.
Rabba.
Yeah.
Well, Tyson brings down cases like if you find a sefer Torah and you need let's say it's a sefer and you need to spread it out, and you need to take time to make sure you're taking care of it properly. During the time that you're taking care of it properly, that would be when you're patim in a mitzvah.
Right. It would be that type of thing.
Meaning there are times you actually have to take care of the aveda, that you're going to take care of the aveda.
Yeah. Or like chametz before Pesach, you got to make sure to either get rid of it or cook it or bake it, whatever. Right? This type of thing. Okay. This is a hard one to understand. He's really like a Shem Esach. Why? Since the Torah forced you to watch this thing, therefore it's as if you're getting paid. What does that mean? Because the Torah forced me to watch this thing, it's as if I'm getting paid. Right? So that's the pshat, meaning you're like a paid watcher because this is something that you're required to do, meaning the whole point of Shomer Chinam. The whole point of Shomer Chinam is because he's working for free, meaning he's totally volunteer. Here, you're not a volunteer. You're doing it because the Torah told you that you have to do it. Right? Fine. Okay, so now that's the machlokes. Again, Rabbah holds that you're like a Shomer Chinam, in which case you're Potter and Geneva Vaveda, and Rabbi Yosef holds you're a Shomer Stacha, and therefore you are Chayev. In Geneva Vaveda. So now the Gemara is going to have 7 questions. Let's do a couple of them. Eisvei, because tomorrow's Friday, and we're not going to have time to do the whole thing. Eisvei, Rabbi Yosef l'Rabba. So Rabbi Yosef asked Rabba Kasha on Tamar Aleph now. So let's say you have the lost object, and then you returned it. You put it in a place where the guy's going to see it, meaning you guy's not home. You go knock on the door to bring him back his lost cell phone. He's not home. So what do? You put it on his doorstep. Figure, I'm not going to wait here all day for him. I'll put it on the doorstep, and hopefully he'll see it. And then it gets stolen. Right? You're not, that's it. You don't have to go back and check on it. You did yours. But if it got stolen or got lost, so what does that mean? What does it mean? Doesn't it mean that it got stolen from his own house? Right? So now if it got stolen, why are you chayiv? You should be a shomer chinam. Right? So why should you be chayiv? Right? So Elamai must be a shomer sacher. It's a kasha on Rabbah. So we say loy mimakim shevzira means that it got stolen from the place that you put it back to. But how could you be responsible for that? The Gemara says, "Well, katani ein chayiv litababa." It says once you put it back to some place where the guy's going to see it, you're not mechuyev to be mataba with it. So talking about where he put it back in the afternoon. The Tarti Kalani has 2 different halachas being taught. This is what it's saying. If he put it back in the morning where people are more conscious of things, where he'll see it, that it's common that people are going to come and go and they're going to see it. He's not chayav on top of it. But if he puts it in the afternoon, where it's hopefully going to be seen, people are not coming and going in the afternoon like they are in the morning. Then he won't see it. And it got stolen or lost. So he's chayav in the achrayus. Right? So it really depends. If you put it when he should see it, so then you're going to be potter. If you put it in a place when he may not see it, then you're going to be chayav. Okay, Eisvei, another kasha from Anta Rabbah. La'olam, the person is chayav, the shomer of the Aveda is chayav until he puts it back into the guy's rishus. My la'olam. So what does la'olam mean? Meaning forever. Lava filumi beisa doesn't mean even if it gets stolen from the guy's house. Now, why is he responsible if he's a shomer chinam? Elamai must be a shomer sacher. Shmamina k'shomer sacher dami. That's why he's chayav in Aveda. He said to him, I'm minded to you by animals. The kivan the naktilu nigra beryasa, since you see that it has a way of escaping, right? Meaning this animal clearly got lost in the first place. So clearly this animal is the type that got ADHD and is not sticking around. So Mela, if you found the animal, you have to give a better shmira. So Bani Tirusa Yisirta needs a better shmira. So basically, Rabba's Maida that for an animal, you're not a shomer chinam. You're going to be responsible even if you're a shomer chinam. Right? Okay, let's do one more. Eisvei Rabba Rav Yosef. Rabba had a kasha Rav Yosef. It says Hoshe, right? You have to return an Aveda. That only tells you that you have to return it to the owner's house. How do you know that if you put it into his garden or into a destroyed house, how do you know that that's considered return? You return and become Kamma. Fine. So what does it mean to his garden or to an empty building? If it means that the garden is watched and the churva is watched, that's like returning to his house. Ela pshita likinasoi she'ena mishtameres u'lechurvasa she'ena mishtameres. It's to the garden that's not mishtameres, and that it's the churva that's not mishtameres. Shema mina k'shem mechinam damim. You see that he's like a shem mechinam. He's a kashem Reb Yosef, right? Because you see that you're allowed to return it to someplace that's not considered watched. Yeah. It's talking about he returned it to the garden or yard that's watched, into the destroyed area that's watched. You had a kasha. Well, if it's watched and it has a fence around it, so why is it any different than returning to his house? The chiddush is that you don't need to let the guy know that you returned this lost object. You can go to his yard, dump it in his yard. That's enough. Because the Rebbe Lazar, everything needs das bailim. Meaning, if you steal something, when you're going to return it, you got to tell the guy, by the way, I returned your stolen item. Chutz me hashavas aveda. Hashavas aveda, you don't need to tell the owner that you returned it. Shari ripsa by Torah, hashavas harbe. Because the Torah said the word hashava many times. Since it said it many times, it's teaching us that as long as you just return it into his property, that's enough. Okay, so that's enough. And we'll stop here. I think my voice is shot anyway, so I don't have a choice. But it's good because I canceled the shield later in YFR. Now, I was having regret, but there's no way. So I appreciate the Olam tolerating my voice. All right, let's say some Tillim. Hey, Gimel. Yeah. Shir is mal osav alim adam melach hatachrash v'tishchot el. Hinei yevecha yamanu mesanecha nasura ish alamcha yarimu soy yisyot tzval tunecha. Omeru l'chu v'nachidem yigad v'lo yisach Hashem Yisrael